We good? All right.
Yes.
Anyway, we're
Okay.
going to start slowly here. We're going to slow down, and the first part, is about housekeeping. Okay, so a few things. First of all, welcome to everyone who's joined us today. Okay. We're really grateful for your presence in this room, virtual room. Yeah. So today, I think we're expecting a much smaller turnout than usual because well, people have so many conflicts on this end of May Saturday. So we're especially appreciative for you taking the time out of your day. Thank you very much. We think you'll find it worth it. And before we actually get started, a few housekeeping notes. As you're saying, this session is being recorded. Okay, so if you don't want to appear and you prefer to not to appear, just you can turn off the camera. Okay, but of course, if we see you, it's much better. We invite you to use the chat along this session for comments, questions, anything you'd like to share. Okay, sometimes link. But first, we can try to see if you can write in the chat. Okay, your name and the place where you're joining now. Okay, it could be the city, the country, and if you'd like to add something about your organization or what you're hoping for in this session, please feel free to do so. Let's see. So, people from New York City, BroSis, David, county called the Catskills. Yes, more people from New York City, Buenos Aires, Argentina, Juan. Yeah. Bottom of the cottage, surrounded by wild turkeys. Interesting. Sam from Manhattan. Okay. Not organized, hoping for continued learning about BroSis. All right. And we know that Stephen is connecting from Uganda. All right. Good. And I'm joining from the north of Spain. And more people from New York City, where the majority is. Okay, cool. So just to let you know that after the session, we'll send you a summary with the links, okay? So that you can, Stephen is connecting again. So you'll receive a summary after the session. And the recordings from our first series, Nature, Place, and Education, are at our webpage, which is also going to be shared in the chat. So today, in terms of format, we'll hear from the speakers from Brotherhood Sister Sol, and then open for dialogue. Okay, we'll move into small breakout room to have a conversation, and we come back in plenary to close together. So today is the second of two salons in this series called Learning to Citizen, Tales of Youth, Voice, Agency, and Care. A little note about the support, okay? For the salons, I mean, you pay what you can. We suggest $25 for the session or $40 for both. I mean, if you attended to the previous one. If you think they've been useful to you, please consider supporting them so that we can keep on inviting voices like this in this room. We'll also share the link in this chat. And if you find this series useful and inspiring, please spread the word, so that we can reach as many like-minded and like-hearted people across the globe. And as we're sharing this information, thank you, Amanda. I pass the baton to John.
Thank you for these important notices and a warm welcome. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge our team that made this happen before we dive into the good stuff. We've come together from 4 organizations from 4 continents: Augusta International Foundation in India, the Center for Artistry and Scholarship in Argentina and the US, Ethical Schools in the US, and Thinking with You in Spain and globally. So everybody just wave as I say your name. My co-facilitator, Juan, and is Amy on? I'm trying to manipulate all the technology. So Amy, Shirley.
Yes.
David, Emmanuel, everyone's met. Amanda, and me, John. We're all passionate educators and creatives coming together to build a community that's at heart educating for the world we want. And you can find out more about us as a team on our website, which is now edfortheworldwewant.net. And David is going to start us off with a quote from Toni Morrison that resonates with regeneration and hope.
Well, thank you, John, and good morning to everyone. Ezra Pound said that artists are the antenna of the race, and I think that Toni Morrison more than fulfills that role of writer. She says the following in an essay called "The Source of Self-Regard." The present is a very dangerous place to live. We have to figure out how to protect the noblest impulses. What are the nurturing structures worth keeping in a community? What are the sources that provide emotional stability? Freedom without risk, courage minus recklessness, generosity without waste. And in times of deep, deep trouble, a resource for survival that may include sustained and calculated ferocity. Thank you, John.
Thank you, David. Friends, I'm just going to do a little recap of what we've been doing in these salons. In our first series, we kept coming back to a question: what does it mean to learn in relationship with place, with nature, and with each other? We heard stories from Argentina, from India and Bali, and from the Lakota Reservation in South Dakota, from Canada, New York, and New Jersey. All these stories showed us what shifts when education grows from context and trust instead of just content delivery. We learned that education stops being something we transmit and it becomes something we live. And this new series builds on that foundation and takes up a vital invocation from educator Deb Morrison. Meet agency where it lives. Begin with what people care about and the places they inhabit. And that's why we call this series Learning to Citizen, Tales of Youth Voices, Agency, and Care. We had our first salon of this series on May 9th with inspiring students and teachers from the Green School in Bali. And today, on May 30th, we are here to honor another set of learners and teachers who are already doing the work of practicing care, enacting citizenship, and learning how to regenerate their worlds outside of the walls of institutional learning. And today we will meet them, and I want to say I'm so grateful to have you here. But before we move to you, our guests, and to today's stories, I want us to briefly connect this salon with what's already started to emerge from previous conversations. And with that spirit of moving between conversation and action, I want to turn briefly to Emmanuel, who will describe a little bit about the Agastya Working Circle. Emmanuel, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Juan. So after the first series, we raised a key question. How do we move from inspiration into action? And in response, we have started creating what we called working circles, okay, which are basically small spaces where people can continue exploring, connecting, and prototyping around the themes that surfaced in the salon. And usually they were born out of a powerful question. And we think this matters because these gatherings are not only about listening to powerful stories, they are also about building a community that can act on what we are learning together. So we will share more details in the follow-up emails. Also here we can share the link to the working circles if you're interested. And there will be, of course, opportunities to join and contribute. So one of the working circles has to do with Agastya, which is a huge movement that started in India 25 years ago, or 26 years ago now, and that has impacted no less than 30 millions of children all across India. And David and myself, we're part of these working circles, and we've had over the last weeks been part of meetings trying to first understand what were the issues with what they call the ignatiors, who are the teachers. We worked through different surveys, meetings, conversation, worked at hypotheses, and gradually worked out what is going on, trying to understand what is here. And out of that, we are now co-creating, co-designing a 3-day workshop in July. Actually, David and myself will be in Agastya there in July. So lots of conversation, meeting with regional managers, teacher, catalyzer, who are the teachers trainer. And it's actually a fascinating journey. But we invite you to be part of it. For the moment, it's just David, myself, and people from Agastya. But of course, this is open. We'd like to share our experience. And there are also other circle. And one of them, we've got here some participants. We've got Jane and Sam. Perhaps you would like to share a bit about that other circle. Thank you.
Yes, we're in New York City, and I've been working at the Bronx Academy of Promise, a charter school that John introduced me to more than a decade ago, and just been approved for a high school from pre-K to 8, and I'm developing the curriculum for the 9th grade starting for September. And already before we met, the Green School last time was focused on water for the first quarter and for community engagement for the 9th graders, hopefully with Bronx River Alliance, which is a very big community-based organization, and have so far met with Sam, and Sam and I are investigating some of the touch points of meeting with that community-based group. And David and I plan to go visit the Harbor School, which is also based on water and in Manhattan.
Okay, and now from another track, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, you're good.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so pending New York State legislation, it's pending in the Assembly and Senate, would require participatory citizenship education. So in parallel to Jane's project, the Working Circle aims to explore the legislation. If you'd like to join, I'll put a link to the notes about this in the chat, and you can
Great.
contact me or Jane or David about this.
Great.
That's it.
Hey,
Thank you.
yes, and thank you, Jane and Sam. And so now we're so grateful to have Nando Rodriguez, who's the Senior Manager for Environmental Programming at BroSis, a former member and graduate of BroSis in 1997, and 2 students, members of BroSis, Camila Salcedo and Elias de Leon, here with us today. The format's going to be a conversation among Nando, Camila, and Elias. And so to everybody listening, please put your questions and comments in the chat, and we'll unpack them with our speakers during or at the end of their conversation. And with that, I'll turn the mic over to Nando. Nando, we'd love to hear about BroSis and how you came to the organization, and also about your environmental work. Perhaps you could start with telling us about what BroSis does.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me and having us here. First, I want to say good morning and very humble to be heard all across the world, Uganda, Argentina, and Spain. The Brotherhood Sister Sol is an organization, nonprofit organization in West Harlem, working to develop theories of change for our young people, providing them love, guidance, support, and resources through the different various programming that we have, and basically helping our young people to be critical thinkers in our communities and to be leaders of our communities. We've been around since 1995. I joined in 1995. Graduated from the program in 98, actually. Went off to college, came back in 2005, and now I am a full-time employee and a senior manager 20 years later.
So just go on and
Got it?
tell us what's going on, and Elias and Camila join in. It's your show.
Okay. So let me quickly share. And I want to begin. Give me a thumbs up if you can see my presentation. Great. I want to quickly begin with these 4 images. I'm born and raised in the Lower East Side. And I want to share this because this is the Lower East Side in the 80s and then the 90s. And this was what I remember as a kid in the Lower East Side of New York City. Vacant lots, a lot of activities, people running around, walking through it, people living, a lot of entrepreneurship, it's people selling items at the stoop, a lot of graffiti and trains, and jaguars almost on every corner in the hot summer weather. Um, and I share this only because I want to give a quick perspective of what I was growing up in the Lower East Side. In the 90s, I joined 2 organizations. Open Road of New York and the Brotherhood Sister Sol. Open Road of New York, I joined at 15. And what I learned through Open Road of New York was environmental awareness, problem solving, practices, and then skills and practices on environmental solution. With the Brotherhood of Sister Sol, I learned a lot about leadership, history and culture, social awareness, and what it means to be a man, leader, and brother. And the reason I share this quick slide is because both of these organizations together have created a very pivotal development for me, and allowing myself to put these together to create the program that exists now at the Brotherhood Sister Sol, which is the environmental program. But these were 2 specific scenarios or specific organization that really gave me the inspiration and education and experience and knowledge to create what we have today. A little bit about my environmental justice upbringing. What it came to me at a young age was a lot of hands-on activities, a lot of hands-on practices, a lot of hands-on projects that I feel helped me become the environmentalist I believe that I'm developing into more and more, because we never really are fully environmentalists. We're always growing and becoming more and more environmentalists as we get older. And I think that hands-on activity was very important for me because it wasn't through my passion or will to do environmental work. It was through experiences, access, and opportunity that developed my love for the environment and my passion to take care of it. And some of it was through having access to green spaces. I showed you a picture of the Lower East Side back in the day. And there's in the 90s, there was a lot of community gardens, coming around and being developed. And they were all in my community, but I never went into them because I just didn't know I had the access to go. Nobody really kind of opened the door for me, except to when I joined Open Road of New York. And Open Road had a lot of access to green spaces and allowed me to go into these green spaces and to basically experience a love for nature in my own community. And that's what I wanted to develop here. So, some of our young people will mention these things from their experience being here, and me allowing in our program, giving them the access to these green spaces in the city. And they share these 2 different quotes that has changed them. And I want to bring in Elias and Camila to talk about what does it mean to have access in today's world? What have we created for them to give them these access to green spaces? Elias, Camila?
Yeah, I'm gonna just say that over here at BroSis, we have access to like a community garden. It is called Frank. I think it's the Frank White Memorial Garden at 143rd Street. It's between Hamilton Heights and Harlem. It's the garden that BroSis owns, and basically you could just visit anytime. It's a Me personally, it's a place I could call home. I could just walk in with no, I could just walk in freely by decision, walk around the garden, be in the hammocks, just relax, hang out with my friends, and having access to that green space makes me fully like reset and be grateful because a lot of people don't have access to the environment sometimes here in New York. And Rose is a great example of the privilege of having access to green spaces that we're trying to make citywide.
Um, and so I go back to my time as a teenager and, having these green spaces access, some of the projects, the hands-on projects was planting our gardens, planting our farms. And that was something that I started to learn as a teenager, but I started to kind of feel very connected to the land by planting some of the vegetables and fruits and stuff that the community will come into to take harvest from. And it wasn't like we were creating plots for different people. We were just planting for everyone, and people will come into our garden in the Lower East Side and kind of take from that. So I wanted to create that here as well. So as Elias said, in Frank White Memorial Garden, we have a lot of raised beds where we have our young people plant all of the raised beds and plant all of the garden for in the season of April. And then it's open for the community. So I'll open it up again back to both Elias and Camila to talk about that experience of kind of like planting our farms.
Over here in the garden at BroSis, we plant a bunch of I'd say a bunch of vegetables from what I remember. Remember we planted bok choy last year. It was a bunch of lettuce, cabbages, even fruits like green apples, peaches, nectarines. A wide variety of fruits year round that we plant at BroSis. And then while I'm planting these plants, I'm over here being educated about the reasoning on why we're doing this and how it's benefiting me too. The amount of skills I'm gaining from interacting with the soil and having access to the raised beds that makes me that gives me the drive to keep on planting, just not at BroSis, but I could just do it anywhere, just volunteer and become a real asset.
I just want to interject, if I can, a question that David put in the chat,
Oh
which
yeah, I
was
saw.
for Elias. What was your relationship to nature prior to BroSis?
I'd say I'm gonna just start with, since I first came to BroSis, I did not expect BroSis to be so like environmental based, and that really taught me that I should be more. That really taught me that I should be more aware and appreciate nature, uh, in the city and even outside of the city. Just be just really like take in the don't really know how to explain it, but I just say that I just use nature to my advantage most of the time because it could be very limited and we don't know what will happen to it. So I just at BroSis, it just really taught me to like just walk around and wait, I'm sorry, I kind of slipped up. Just really taught me to like just really take in what nature gives back to me and how beneficial it is.
Elias, let me jump in because I think what you're saying is actually very powerful and and deep. I live in the other end of the world, down south in Argentina, and there are actually in the city, actually there are, curiously enough, laws and regulations against having this kind of urban garden. And we've been trying to explain to the city folk how useful it is and how important it is for young people and actually for all citizens to have contact with this. If if you had to speak to people your age that had not had this kind of experience, what language would you use? Like if you were to tell two or three friends that hadn't come into BroSis or hadn't had this experience in nature, what would you actually say to them in terms of why this is worth their while?
First, I think it depends on the person. Like if I really want to get them interested and hooked on to BroSis, I gotta know what their their likes, their desires. So if I were to tell them about BroSis, I would just say it's all about community and finding your identity and purpose, which
Mm,
which really helped me find a great direction in life. And when I say community, I say like, oh, you could just always come to BroSis, come visit, and people are so overly nice here to the point that you just be saying hi to people you don't know sometimes, and that's great because you're making these small connections are really impactful. Could be very impactful for someone, and just just making just like it just gives you a sense of belonging in a way that most people, which I think most people at New York really need, just to become a bit more social and get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, Juan, I'll also add too is like, 80%, maybe 70 to 80% of the time when teenagers are alone, their interactions with other adults in many cases and in places is so harsh, toxic, sometimes and negative, you know, and growing up having to need uh, a facilitator to kind of uh, put me into spaces that will bring down the guards of other people because of my age or presence. That is a piece of the connecting of what we do at BroSis and what how the environments and green spaces can come together, because green spaces are super valuable in community, and it's the center of in many places where organic engagement of community can come together. And then and I'm always pushing the young people to be the forefront of these spaces so that that negative or kind of like standoffish interaction that they are used to having when they go to parks, to stores, in even on their block, like people talk about wearing the mask of survival, and in order for you to survive in your community, you got to be tough and have this mask of like of a tough person. And I want them to bring those guards down. I want people to have their guards down. So having young people in green spaces and having them be the ones doing the work and interacting, what was for me was like this was a door opening. This was a window that we can talk because we're in a, natural, positive environment. You know, if we saw each other at the same time on the street, we look at each other differently. But when we see each other in the garden or on a community farm, we're already in a space where our guards should be down and we should now have this conversation. And that for me growing up, that's what that was. And I feel like many of the places that I try to interact and have our young people be a part of is to recreate those guards to come down and open these opportunities of conversations and dialogue.
Wait, I'm just seeing some questions in the chat. David asked, is the experience that me and Camila have at BroSis with nature and the community and their peers been anything like their experience in school? Um, I'd say not at all. It's very different. Especially the interactions, I'd say that's a great example. The way I interact with people at school, particularly very different at BroSis.
Mm.
Like, for example, I could be talking to a teacher. She they are just there. My teachers are just there to support me academically. BroSis staff and the members are there to support you on anything else. Anything else. It could be prior to like your dreams, your education,
Mm.
your your culture, and the diversity it brings. They're
Mm.
very supportive in a way. But overall it's very different from school.
Mm. Mm. Can I just throw in, does for either of you, Camila and Elias, has your behavior in school shifted or changed as a result of your experience at BroSis?
I'd say in a way, yeah. I think I'm being a bit more mature than I was. And I'm seeing a bunch of growth that BroSis has gave me that I'm taking outside of BroSis too into my life.
Mm.
So I'm just really using that to like help me out as I'm going through life.
Mhm.
Uh, like also in school, think I think I have a better drive. I have a better drive to be more academic, I'd say, and
Mm.
be more disciplined.
Mm. Thank you.
I want to jump in. I know in a few minutes we'll have an opportunity to talk about action, but I'm feeling so inspired by what you're all doing and the stories you guys are both telling. And I wonder if you can share a little bit. I'm sure, Nando, I'm sure you have, and perhaps with your students and the young people that you work with, reflected on what is needed to grow these experiences in the city and also just in general, so that more young people have this kind of experience. And I was wondering if you could share some of these reflections, like what needs to happen, because this is clearly the right way forward. I mean, just hearing Elias speak right now, it's so I can't help but think how many young people I know who should be out in a garden this afternoon and next week and the week after that. What
Mm.
do we all need to do to help create more such experiences?
Mm.
Yeah, I think some of the presentation kind of helps to guide that thing. So we've only went through one bullet, and I don't know if I should keep going on that can help
Yeah, go
answer
ahead.
that question for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
please.
yeah, because your question drives a immediate question for me is that not every young person is very interested in the environment, and pushing environmental education and environmental activism onto them is probably going to push them away. So what we do is that we just interact with them where we meet them where they are, and we just do hands-on activities with them. So when it's come to planting the farming gardens, we're doing it together, but we're not telling them this is what we got to do. No, let's just do one bed at a time. Let's do one plant at a time, one tree at a time. Construction experiences. This I feel like is an icebreaker because
Mm.
every young person when they see the power drill or some type of project, they're like curious. How do you use that tool? How
Mm.
how do you get that screw to go in so perfectly? I
Mm.
want to give it a try. And then they start messing up. And it's like, oh, I can't do this. No, but here's the technique. Now
Mm.
you've entered a place where they're accepting your knowledge. They're accepting your teaching because
Mm.
they have asked a question. Instead of pushing
Mm.
the answers on them, they are now asking. They are now asking for your support and guidance. And this to me has always been a way to get people to talk, to get involved, and they once they get into it, they don't stop. Here's an example of Camila, very quiet, timid young woman, but when she's open, she's doing all the work, and it's not like you can stop her. And here, she's doing a construction project at a different garden, and this
Can you
is
share your screen? Sorry.
Oh, you can't see my
No,
screen?
no,
Oh,
no,
yeah, we
no,
can.
no.
Yes, we can. David it is sharing.
Oh, lo
Yeah.
siento.
I think you got to scroll to the other window.
I think so. This is me. All right, go ahead. It's on me.
That's a great
Um,
picture.
Yeah, so Camila is, you can see her excitement, her happiness, and she's learning how to use the power tools. And from that project, we go into another project and we go into another project. And I think once we have them building and creating, then they start to influence their own projects and they start to kind of like, get involved more and more and more. And it doesn't become like you calling them. It's more of like, okay, we got to close. You guys got to go home. They don't want to go home sometimes.
Do you have more of the slides that can show the garden and the hot pots
Yeah,
with the
I,
composting?
I'll keep going really quickly. Some of the projects we start to once they are with us and they want to be a part of us, we start showing them the importance of what can we do in the community, and we start caring for the street trees. And this is Elias, caring for one of the street trees, and this is Camila, beautifying that street tree with one of her friends that she brought in. So then they start bringing their own friends into the mix. Um, here is partnership with a community partner. So at a young age, I learned a lot about who were owners of different places, and I quickly understood that what I was doing as a teenager could be a career. So, as creating this environmental program for BroSis, I wanted to continue partnerships and continue to build partnerships so that the young people could see that there's so many different careers in this activity, in this project, in these world. And this year alone, we partner with over 25 different groups in New York City so that the young people can learn about all these different groups, but also feel empowered that there is a future in these activities if they wanted to keep going with it. Elias, you want to talk a little bit about what you was doing here?
Yeah. Wait. I would like to elaborate more on the street tree care first. I remember this. Me and Camilla, we were in a core group called Horticultural Sciences, where we mainly spent our time last summer just in the garden and helping other community gardens and you know uh, cleaning up just green spaces around locally. And over here in this photo, I was plucking out weeds for the to help out the tree because the the weeds are called suckers, which just take in all the tree's nutrients that it's essential. And we replaced those weeds with plants and flowers just to decorate, as you could see here with Camilla, just digging out the soil, planting the plants, just to revive the tree in a way.
How does
And
that make you? How did that make you feel to actually beautify that one tree for you?
it made me like it made me feel good about myself in a way because like, oh, I'm actually doing something that I'm actually doing a positive impact for my community. It may be maybe something small, but it's something very big for me, and it could be big for someone else too. The small details is what made me realize that the small things I do could just really it could really help out the community and just give back to and just give back. That's it.
And then here you was giving back. What were you doing here?
This was this year, I believe, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Most of my friends came to this event. We could have just taken the day off, relaxed at home, but we just all decided to, uh, help. Just I think we were giving back to the community for those who in need. Just I'm over here packing lunches for a certain place that we traveled to. I remember it was very freezing that day. Most of us could have just went back home, but we did what we had to do, and just because nobody, I think nobody else was willing to do this. So the fact that I'm over here putting the effort into my community, I just it just made me feel made me feel a positive sense of myself. This type of work made me feel good about myself, like I said before. Just you know, giving somebody else a smile in their day. They probably had a bad day. I'm over here to make it better for them. And yeah.
So I have a question for you, Elias, and also for Camila, if you feel like answering it and talking about it. It's from Amanda about how whether contact with the garden changes your relationship with screens. And are there different feelings and emotions that come from being in contact with the soil and with the community of BroSis rather than scrolling on your phone or watching your friends or stories on Instagram or TikTok?
Yeah, I think my screen time at BroSis really changed. Um I just realized how less I spend my time on my phone, especially during the experience and trips we get to go to. I remember there was this there were we went to a bunch of camping trips where we had no service, no chargers. We just had just we had to like entertain ourselves in a way in the forest. And I think that really changed how I see nature, because like, oh, I'm at the end of the day I'm living in planet Earth, and I shouldn't just waste my time on a screen, and really make memories with the community at BroSis and my friends, my coworkers, and the staff around here. So I became more I became more appreciative of nature.
Mm. Mm.
So I'll continue. Keep coming with the questions. I know we got a small time, but the other thing is community composting. I started off by doing community composting, and I'm always going to be a believer, and I always push it on my young people. So all of the young people in our program partake in composting. That composting is a major um, tool and skill to kind of create a lot of environmental solutions to a lot of the environmental issues that we face in urban cities. So when it comes to composting, it's always a key part of all of our curriculum, um, but also the action of it is not always popular in young people, and you have to do it so that it becomes normal, so that icky feeling and that smelly part can go away, and they can start actually um,
Mm.
appreciating the task and the work that they're doing. So
Mm.
this is an event where we have volunteers come in, and our young people was helping them to learn how we process compost in our site.
Mm.
Um, this is a vacant land, so that is in the Lower East Side. I want to share this point because this is the changing point of me, and this is why I do what I do with my young people. This is an acre large land in the Lower East Side on 12th Street between Avenue A and First Avenue. Open Road of New York transferred this land to Board of Ed, and it just so happened that my high school was right next door to this land. My high school has a mandatory service learning component where in every grade you have to do service learning, community service, and it's once a week for the whole year. I joined Open Road of New York to be my service learning site, and the task that Open Road had was to convert this land to a green space. And we
Mm.
only were given a small portion of it. And for 7 years of me being a part of that environmental learning component, I stayed with them all throughout my middle school and high school time. 7 years later, this is what we created.
Mm.
So as a teenager, having the a site in New York City that I can say I helped design and help create with my own hands is a very strong, prideful moment for myself. And I wanted to recreate this experience for young people at BroSis. So this moment, this experience that I had was something that changed me And I'm recreating that experience as best as I can in a new community. But I'm hoping that I can touch all of the New York City boroughs with this process, with community composting at the forefront, but to have them design their spaces. So right now, this is the curriculum that I use with my young people. We have 4 core groups where we focus all of our projects, all of our experiences, all of our skill training, and all of our thoughts. And both Elias and Camila have been a part of 3 of these components. Each of them are to be a part of this core group for a whole year, and then they get to choose another one and another one. So their high school career, they are going to complete, once they complete high school, they'll be able to complete all 4 of these core groups, and they'll have so much experience, skills, knowledge, and hopefully they'll have the passion and the love that I built, that I got when I was a teenager, to consider themselves environmentalists. I don't want them to be, I mean, in my heart, I want them to be environmentalists. I want them to be environmentally aware when they leave this program. But for some, they choose to be environmentalists. And that is the ultimate goal for me, for them to achieve, to be a person who may eventually take my shoes and my position so that they can continue to pass on what I've done for them. So I don't know if Elias and Camila want to share some experiences in these core groups, because I think it'll be valuable for you guys there.
Yeah, for sure. So I here at BroSis, they've run like several core group programs that I think they're all designed to like support, young adults, even the youth from their childhood through their adulthood. And they focus on a bunch of topics such as leadership, identity, and social justice. When I first came to BroSis, the first core group I picked on summer 2024 was food empowerment, which just focused on food justice. They gave me culinary skills and I became more, and food empowerment taught me to be more aware of what I eat. I gotta, because like they taught me that my body is a temple and I'm supposed to build that temple just by feeding food that nature gives. And the next summer, which was last summer, I chose horticultural sciences that me and Camilla are in right now currently, where, like I said back then, we work most of our time at the garden and they mainly educate us on the structure of nature, and it circles around composting too. I remember my first couple of days composting. It was honestly kind of terrible for me, mainly because of the smell. But over time, when I started doing it more, I became more immune to the smell, and because like the experience just taught me to be more. The experience and what I learned from composting just taught me why people do it in the first place, and why BroSis is driven to keep composting local.
So I wanted to interject because we're trying to follow our schedule and we're a couple of minutes over. But on the other hand, I think the composting is really exciting. I know that you've got, I think it's like over 90 sites around the city at this point. So I'm wondering if you could all just talk maybe for 2 more minutes specifically about what the compost and compost outreach program is, and then that'll give us time to set up the breakout rooms, and then we can all switch to that and continue the conversations there.
Absolutely. I'll jump really quickly then. This is the garden now. This is what it looks like now, and then this campaign is what we're pushing, having 1,000 composting systems in all of New York City. And our goal is obviously to influence, develop, and install 1,000 composting systems in every borough of New York City. The goal is to increase environmental education and activism. Remember what Elias is saying. Once you're actively doing it, you become more active, more into it, your activism becomes great. The green spaces is where you're educating environmentalism and bringing in people together. The number two goal, obviously, composting is going to help reduce greenhouse gases. And if we can do it all of New York City, as an example, every city in the United States of America can become this community compostly aware that hopefully, we can do a major change and difference. Goal number three is to supply healthy environments. By having, compost to help remediate our soil, we're helping to grow more organic and fresh and healthier food. And then the young people being engaged in the soil, they're becoming more immune. Their immunity system is growing, is stronger because they're outside. They're incorporating, they're touching their hands in the dirt and building that chemical reaction that will give their immune system stronger. And number four, which is very important, and people always tend to push away equity and economic equity and environmentalism. We are hoping that this will create more jobs. And always talk about where does young people find work? Where do they find work? This could be it. Having community compost in all of our neighborhoods could encourage more youth employment. These map here is basically all the different places that we have placed the hotbox a system. So we are now at 92. 2 years ago, there was only 17 hot boxes out there, which is a design that I created in high school as well. Now there's 92 as of yesterday, and that is just in 2 years. 92 sites where it could be, each site could have hopefully employ 2 or 3 young people in the community. It'll divert 3 tons of food waste going into our waste stream, and it's going to give us thousands of pounds of finished compost in our community rather than waiting for it to be brought into our community and having more what is it more carbon footprint of trucks coming in. It's going to be there, walking distance for everyone to have.
What is the
And
hot box? I'm sorry for interrupting, but I'm just looking at the picture. What
the
is
hot
the hot
box,
box?
the hot box is a new, it's not new. It was a design that we created in the 90s with Open Road of New York, and Open Road was gracious enough to put my name on the patent. It's a system where it's a passive aeration where you basically do composting, but at a more natural process.
Yeah,
So
no,
the instead of the tendings of like turning it and the human interaction of turning it, the pipes that are in the design allows for natural flow of air, natural passive flow. So as the hot box gets hotter, it heat goes up and it pulls air through the pipes. So by us not moving the soil and moving the process, we're not disturbing the ecosystem and the habitat that the microbials are creating in the box. Every time humans turn it, we're disturbing them. But by us not turning it in this system, those microbials are thriving at a faster rate, more happy, more mentally stable, and they're creating a habitat for 2 months that they enjoy and love. And the final product has been tested in Brooklyn College and Cornell University, and it's been closer to humans than a lot of many other compost systems that you find that where humans have to constantly turn it. And humans, as we all know, it's like a tree falling down in the forest and decomposing on its own natural ways. So, Juan, I hope I answered your question that you had before. How do we engage our young people into doing this, and how can other people do it? I think it starts with the hands-on activities at a organic way. Let them ask the questions, and you go from there.
Yes,
So,
sir. You got me so inspired right now. I have so many more questions, but I know we have to stay on track and maybe start thinking about moving into more intimate conversations. John, are we there yet?
I think we are. I think that I think that Amanda's been working on that. Where do we stand, Amanda?
We're
Well,
good to go. Camila, do you want to go to a private room? Do you want to log into a computer so you can join one of the breakout rooms?
You want me to leave you here and I'll go to another one? This is okay here.
Okay.
Okay.
Then I'm gonna open the rooms.
No, just
Do you want to share the
Amanda,
prompt?
Amanda, just one thing before we go to the breakout room.
Photo.
I don't know, Nando, if you can stop sharing the presentation so that
Oh,
we can
yes.
take a
Sorry,
picture of
sorry.
our, yeah,
Yes.
great. Okay, got our traditional picture. Well, unless you don't want to appear in the picture, we can switch off the camera. But if not, yeah, get ready here. All right. Beautiful smile. Yes. Okay. And now, lovely. Thank you very much.
Good man.
I
Okay.
am sharing on the chat the prompt for the room, okay? From the
Great.
for the breakout rooms.
And I
John,
think
Great.
could
we're
you
going to have
read the
15 minutes for the breakout room. Is that correct?
Correct.
and John, could you read the prompt?
Yes.
As soon as I can locate it again.
Here it's in the
Yeah.
chat.
I know my
Sorry.
text skills are-
I can read it if you'd like. I've got it.
Yes, I'd like you to.
So the prompt for the breakout room is how can young people, how can youth and adults work together in whatever setting you are, in your setting, in your life, starting in the next 30 days. So we want to make this really concrete to create more opportunities for students to citizen, to explore their interests, and to find their agency to express their voices. And as an inspiration, we'll have our friends from BroSis, who can share more about their experience. But really, it's what could we all go back to our own lives and do that creates actual action.
Thank you, Juan.
Yeah, thank you, Juan.
We're gonna open the breakout rooms now. Just accept the invitations. Have fun. Hi guys. Sorry, people in our room were excited. Juan is the one to blame. He didn't want to leave.
Well, we were just taking advantage of the extra minutes. Okay, so did we lose anybody?
No, and that was way too short. People are coming in, but it was way too short. We needed more time.
Amanda was just blaming you for being late and coming back to the plenary. She said it's Juan's fault. He just wanted to keep
Don
talking.
Yeah,
Yeah, I kept on telling people, come on, you go. We have another minute. Go, go, go.
Okay, so do people want to, I don't know, report back always sounds so official, but do people want to talk about what they talked about?
Yeah, the main insight, main takeaways.
Who would like to start?
Well, I'll just start with something that Nando said in our group, I think as a response to something I had suggested, which is go knock on doors, just like think of a door you could knock on. I thought I'll go see the mayor here in my town. We have lots of community gardens, and my question for the mayor is going to be, how can we know for sure that young people know that these gardens are theirs? And because that resonated with Nando said that when he was growing up, he didn't know what spaces were open or where he would feel welcome. And I don't want to, I want to make sure we don't take young people for granted and that we understand that if they feel welcome in all the public spaces.
Yeah, Nando
So go
said
knock
that his strategy was to offer, hey, can I come to your garden with a group of young people to work your land? And that's makes it harder to deny that, right?
And building off of that, what Amanda was saying, that, reporting back what Nando was expressing as the approach. How do you get in, right? How do you approach a citywide organization or a school or a community group? And he kept coming back to, like, can you imagine this space with a bunch of young people in it? Or how can we be of service? How can we help? So he's approaching by giving, by offering. And And then, of course, people are much more receptive. And then pretty soon there's this conversation happening. And that symbiotic partnership that's going back and forth is a win-win for everybody involved, and the whole thing starts to lift off. And I just love that. Thank you, Nando, and everyone else who's doing that in your own communities by asking that question, you know, like who doesn't love a house guest who shows up and asks, hey, how can I help? You know,
That's right.
and then all of a sudden you're doing dishes together and having a conversation, and then, you know, you're hanging out and making plans for the next time. So anyway, thank you for that, Nando.
Yeah, Charles, you could be really, I see you as influential in this conversation. I really do, because you could do some stuff, you know. I'm with you.
Thank you, Shirley. I'm with you too. And you know, I mean, I also love growing things. I got a garden right there, and I work in schools and with young people and adults. So thank you for that vote of confidence, and I'm with you too. You mentioned something in our breakout group of going to talk to a principal. So if there's any way that I can help out, you let me know.
Yeah, you can. I think I'm thinking about the rights of the green. I really do like that. I like that idea.
So Shirley's talking about something I brought up in our breakout session, and then I was planting a seed and asking Nando if they're having these kinds of conversations about the rights of nature, right? And nature is a problematic term, but the idea of there are places and communities that are recognizing, there are whole countries that are recognizing the rights of rivers and forests and trees as legal entities with protections under the law.
Absolutely.
And when we start thinking about rights of green space or rights of a forest or a river, now all of a sudden they have a potential to be protected by laws. And 20 years from now, you could be working on some amazing community garden project, and then 20 years from now, some developer wants to come through and build a high rise. But if we can give them some legal status, then they will also be protected by the same laws that should be protecting all of us. But at least we've got a little foothold in there. So
before we move on,
Charles, I think I've done some work on that. It seems to me that when we call it the rights of rivers, it's a little bit confusing. What we're really talking about is the rights of our children and our grandchildren to have access to those rivers. And
absolutely, yeah,
you know,
you're right.
Well, I completely agree that it includes the humans, and the conversation is actually broadening it out to giving the rights to even the leafcutter ants and the rivers and the caddisflies and the fish, so that we recognize it's larger than just the human rights. It's all of the rights of life, and that does play back symbiotically to support our children and grandchildren, of course. But it's a real wide angle kind of open-hearted perspective on it.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear more, Amy, maybe at another time, about what it is that and how you're working in that community. Sure. I don't want to take away from the BroSis or all the other people sharing back.
Sure. And of course, I work on the rights of all sentient creatures. I mean, yeah.
Before we move on to the other group, I just wanted to say, Charles, I think you mentioned that you've taught Aikido before, and I'm gonna just like write this down because I think there's a really interesting conversation to be had, and how Nando's strategy about offering energy resonated with you. I think we could all learn a little bit about how we use the existing energy in a favorable way, which I think, from my limited understanding, is what Aikido is all about. And I think that would be a fascinating conversation we have, because there's a lot of energy out there. We just need to move it to the right places, right?
Yeah, there's a group that I'm working with now. They're called Land-Based Healing. And the idea is that there's a group of people that are going together and picking a day, and they call it pitch-in parties, where they go and share energy at the different sites. So whether it be doing murals, bringing their kids for a bake sale or bake share, potluck bakery, whatever, in all these different green spaces. And I'm also trying to bring in, healers, Reiki healers and massage therapists, and thinking about having that connected to nature and the healing components of, spending 30 seconds with your hand deeply engulfed into soil and just leaving it in there. And how does that affect you, your mind, your spirit, your soul? The fear, close your eyes and do it. Like our young people, I did this activity with young people when I show them a batch of a worm bin and all the insects all over and everything. And then I blindfolded them and I changed the bucket to just finished compost. And then I had them put their hands in and they were so scared. But once they were there, they was like, oh, there's nothing crawling. It feels good. It's nice. And then I uncovered their eyes and it was just like, you see, sometimes don't judge the book for its cover. The experience could be different. But the idea is that you are now experiencing some type of healing, whether it's healing your fear, whatever. So, I think that incorporating energy into the environmental spaces is a beautiful thing. So,
Wow.
Time for the other group.
Before the other group goes, though, I want to add to just what this man just said because it resonates with what Toni Morrison was saying. These are the nurturing structures within a community that we need to pay careful attention to. We don't need to be rocket scientists. Yes, the nurturing structures within any given community, how we need to support them, protect them. I rest my case.
Okay, so we have about 2 minutes left, and I know some people have to leave right at 1. Would anybody else from one of the other groups like to report very briefly? And then we should close up and talk about what we're going to do next and also give everybody a chance to fill out the Menti, the feedback. But this has just been really a fun hour and a half. So any other comments, last comments?
In our group, John, we got to talk with Elias a lot about the question of listening to youth and ideas about what to do before kids are released for the summer youth work activities, volunteer activities, and talking to 8th graders about what they might be wanting to do in the 9th grade.
Great.
Okay. So, as people know, our goal is to help people who are thinking about and doing exciting things in support of creative teaching and learning in order to connect with others doing the same. So, we're going to be back with more salons in the fall, and we're going to be spending the summer planning and helping to grow it and wanting to stay in touch with everybody. And in the meantime, we encourage people to join an existing working circle, as Emmanuel and Sam and Jane were talking about, or to start your own, and also to stay in touch with us. And you can write to us at info at the name of the website, edfortheworldwewant.net. And we also, Amanda, do you want to mention the WhatsApp group that we have for everybody?
Sure, you can stay in touch with us through LinkedIn. I'm going to share after the session. I'm going to send everybody an email with our LinkedIn, with our WhatsApp group, and with the working circles. You're going to have access to the recording of this session and to all the other recordings. We also create podcasts coming from the salons. So we're in touch. All the links that we share, if anybody wants to share a link with the community that's here, please send it to us by email. Sam mentioned the working circles that they are having. Nando just shared the Instagram of the Heart Box. So we're going to send this to everybody.
And I'm going to wrap it up by thanking you all, and in particular, Nando, Elias, and Camila. It's been so inspiring. I know many of us will look for ways to get in touch, to learn and to support what you're doing and learn from you. I just can't thank you enough. This has been such an inspiring morning. Please fill out the Menti, hopefully before you leave, everyone. This is so important for us. That way we know about your experience today. And if you enjoyed it, share what we do with friends and, share this in your community so that we can expand and grow and get more people in our circle of friends. Thank you, and we hope to see you again soon.
So if you're seeing my screen, we invite you to either use the QR code or go to menti.com and enter the code so that you can answer just 2 or 3 questions.
Amanda, can you put, or maybe you have put the menti.com in the chat?
Yeah. The idea is,
The
yes.
link won't work. People have to either go to menti.com and enter the code that's on the screen or take a screenshot and you're going to be right there.
Yes. Okay. 4
Okay.
participants for the moment. Okay. Let's wait a little bit.
Well, again, thanks to everybody. This was really cool.
And so this is basically to get more feedback, okay, to understand what's working and what could be improved for the next session. So already got some answers. Question about the length of the breakout room. Okay, what topics or questions should we explore more deeply next? In education, practices of engaging young people, early ed, should focus on circles, how to grow them in communities. Ask kids this question and then let's talk about that. Yes. Okay, so we invite you to complement even later if you got some time. And what would you change to make the salons more meaningful? So those are the few questions here. Could you all get in? Okay. Do you need more time to get into the Menti or anyone?
So people can continue at Emmanuel as long as they
Yes.
have the link, yeah?
Exactly.
Both,
Absolutely.
Great.
right?
I think sometimes the blue button is submit, but they don't sometimes the hit next.
Doesn't register.
It's
Yeah.
underneath. So if people think you're submitting and going next, but you're still in the same question. So I guess they're figuring
Good
out
to
how to.
know. Thank you.
Yeah, I was confused by that too. And then it seemed like I had submitted like one answer, but then it
And
said
then-
you can answer it again if you want.
Wow.
Or you can go to the next question.
Wow.
And it had me a little confused. I had to tap through it a couple times
Yeah,
before I realized I was getting nowhere.
Well, thank you guys for having us. It was a pleasure. I'm gonna go, but feel free when you're in the city and want to come to Harlem to let us know. If you want me to have some young people be a part of your working groups to
great.
give some youth input, we have
Yes.
a group called Community Organizing, and their whole purpose is to help pass on what they have learned and what they're doing. So
I look
Beautiful.
forward to visiting you in person. Thank you.
Thank you
Yes.
so much. Thank you all.
bye-bye.
Bye.
And
Thank
thanks
you.
again.
Guys, this was
Thank you,
amazing.
everyone.
Thank you, Elias. Thank you,
Bye.
Camila. Hi, Vlasta. Bye.
Okay.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Nice seeing you.
Bye.
Bye.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you, Stefan.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
All right. Beautiful
Congratulations.
Saturday to everybody.
Such a beautiful session. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, friends. This was nice.